Okay, so the next Unit 3 video is over counting protons, electrons, and neutrons worksheet. So if you have any questions about this sheet, you need to be watching this video. Okay, so the first one we're going to go over is number 7, where you have to give the symbol and the number of protons in the atom. Remember, the number of protons is just the atomic number, which you get from the periodic table, and obviously the symbol you get from the periodic table as well. So whenever you look for these elements, just look at the atomic number, and that will give you the number of protons. So for example, lithium's atomic number is a 3, so that means it has 3 protons. So this one's pretty easy, so I'm only going to work out a couple of those examples. Okay, so number 8, give the symbol and then the number of electrons in a neutral atom. So that means it should equal the number of protons. So again, all you have to do is look for the symbol and then look at the atomic number. And that'll also tell you not just the number of protons, but the number of electrons because it is neutral. So for example, uranium has an atomic number of 92, so that means it has 92 electrons. Same thing for chlorine. Chlorine has an atomic number of 17, so it has 17 electrons. Okay, so for number 9, you have to give the symbol and then the number of neutrons in one atom. So remember, neutrons, you have to do mass minus the atomic number. And for these, you're just going to round the mass to the nearest whole number when you're doing these problems, just to make it easier for yourself. So for example, when we're looking at barium, and I'll work this out down here, barium has a mass of 137 and an atomic number of 56. So in order to get the number of neutrons, you just have to do 137 minus 56, and that gives you 81 neutrons. So all you have to do is mass times atomic number for all of these problems. Okay, so number 10, you need to write an isotope notation. Recall that isotope notation is from the isotopes video. You write the symbol, you get the mass number and put that in the top left, atomic number you put in the bottom right. So for example, let's just do part E. Molybdenum, which is an actual element, you'd be surprised. The symbol is MO. The atomic mass, if we're going to round that to the nearest whole number, is a 96. That goes in the top left. And then the atomic number is 42. Okay, so the hardest question on this worksheet would be number 12, where you have to calculate protons, electrons, and neutrons for ions. So just recall from when we worked these out in class, if you gain negatively charged electrons, if you gain something that's negative, you're going to become negatively charged. If you lose negatively charged electrons, you're going to become positive. So let's work out an example of each. So sodium, if you look at sodium on the periodic table, sodium has an atomic number of 11. And if you subtract that from its mass, you're going to get 12 neutrons. Now, if this was neutral, it would also have 11 electrons. But it's not. We know that because it has a +1 charge. So if it is positive, that means it lost electrons. So it lost the number of electrons that it is the charge. So it lost 1. So that means this positively charged ion has 10 electrons. So now let's do an example of a negatively charged. Let's look at fluorine. Fluorine has an atomic number of 9, and if you subtract that from its mass of 19, you're going to get 10 neutrons. Now fluorine, if it was neutral, would have 9 electrons, but it's not. It's a -1 charge. So if it's negative, that means it gained electrons. So it gained 1 electron, meaning it has also 10 electrons. So pay attention to the charges on these, and that'll help you figure out the number of electrons.